Section 8.6, properties of real numbers. So in this section, we kind of review what we learned already and learn something new. So the first property, identities of addition and multiplication. And the rule is a plus 0 is equal to 0 plus a, and it's equal to a. And we use this property already. For example, 5 plus 0 is exactly the same as 0 plus 5, and it will be equal to 5. Or if we have the variables in this section, we'll start using the variables, and variable is a letter. It's exactly the same. For example, if we have letter Z, the variable Z plus 0 will be exactly the same as 0 plus Z, and it stays Z. Now we will review multiplication. A times 1 is equal to 1 times A, and is equal to A. And we know this already. For example, 7 times 1 will be exactly the same as 1 times 7, and it will be equal to 7. And with variables, for example, variable p, if we multiply by 1, it will be the same as 1 times p, and it will be equal to p. And we need to talk about -1. If we have -1 times p will be negative p. And you noticed here we don't put 1 in front of the variable. This is important things that we have to review. If we have just the variable, we kind of think that it's 1, because you remember mathematicians are lazy, they don't like write extra things. And the same here, it's exactly the same as -1p. Additive or multiplicative inverse. So again, we had this before we took test 2. A plus -a is equal to 0. Remember, we had 7 plus -7 will give you 0. Or -5 plus 5 will give you 0. B times 1 over b is equal to 1. We had this before 2. For example, 2 times 1 over 2, 2 and 2 will cancel out, and it will be 1. 3 times 1 over 3, again, 3 and 3 will cancel out, and it will be 1 again. Okay, moving on to the next rule, communicative properties. Addition, a plus b is equal to b plus a. Okay, we had this so many times. 2 plus 3 is equal to 3 plus 2, and it's equal to 5. But we need to start using the variables. So it will be x plus 5 will be exactly the same as 5 plus x. We started using the variables. Multiplication property, commutative property of multiplication. A times b is equal to b times a. 2 times 3 is exactly the same as 3 times 2. We have 6 here and 6 here. But we have to start using the variables. So it will be 2 times y, or y times 2 are exactly the same. And the correct way to write it down, it will be 2y. And again, one more thing. When you see 2y, you have to recognize that it is exactly the same as 2 times y. Move on to the next property. Associative properties. And here we have A, B, and C. And again on this side, A, B, and C. And you see we just switch places for the parentheses. Let's see how it works with numbers, just numbers. 5 plus 2 plus 3 is exactly the same as 5 plus 2 and plus 3. You see, I just switch places for parentheses. You know the order of operation. 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 plus 5 will be 10. On one side, 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 3 is 10. So we have 10 on the left and 10 on the right. So this is how this rule works. What if we have the variables m plus n plus 2? It will be exactly the same as m plus n plus 2. Or, and there is nothing to simplify here, or in your homework you will have something like this: 10 plus parenthesis 7 plus b. And you have to use this property. So we will change the parentheses. It will be parenthesis 10 plus 7 plus b. And we know that we can add 10 and 7. It will give us 17 plus b, and this will be your final answer. Let's check our associative property for multiplication. Again, we have just multiplication everywhere, and we switch places for parentheses. Let's check how it works on examples. We have 2 times 5 times 4 is equal to, now I will switch the parentheses. Let's check if our statement is true. 2 times 5 is 10, times 4 is 40. Here we have to do this multiplication first. 5 times 4 is 20, times 2 is 40. We have 40 is equal to 40 is correct. Let's use the variables. We have, just 1 second, wrong place to look. It will be x times y times 12. And we can rewrite like this: x times y times 12, but we know that y times 12 is 12y. And the correct answer that you will see in any math book, textbook, you will see 12xy. And all this mean exactly the same. And important things, something like this. We have negative 3 times 6x. We will rearrange our parentheses. It will be negative 3 times 6 times x. We will type on our calculator. Negative 3 times 6 will give us 18, negative 18. So it will be negative 18x. Okay, and the last property is distributive property of multiplication over addition. We see that we have multiplication here and addition inside of parentheses. And in the end, on the right, we have a times b plus a times c. And normally I use arrows here to show how it works. Okay, let's review how it works with numbers. Something like this. 3 times 5 plus 4. Let's use 3 times 5 plus and multiply 3 by 4. 3 times 4. Okay. We have 3 times 5, 15. 3 times 4 is 12 plus 12. 12 plus 15 will be 27. And so on the right we have 27. Let's check the left side. 3 parentheses 5 plus 4. 27. So when we have numbers, we can type our problem on a calculator and we will get the answer. Or we can use the distributive property and we get the answer. What are we going to do when we have the variables? Let's start. 2 times x plus y. And I see sometimes students do like this. 2 parentheses x, and sometimes they find y, sometimes not. I don't see y here at all. And they say enter, and calculator does not like it. Because your calculator does not understand x. And the only things you have to do, you have to use the distributive property. We have 2 times x. And then we have 2 times y, and we have to keep this plus sign. And that's it. And when you type your answer in your software, it will be 2x plus 2y. Mathematicians do not like spend their time putting multiplications there. So let's complicate a little bit. 3 times x plus 3y. How will it work? Okay, now pay attention here because there are many ways to do it, but I think the way that I will show you is the best way to do it. We will multiply 3 times x, and you put number inside of parentheses, x. You can put inside of parentheses or not. You always put plus here, and then again your 3 you will put inside of parentheses, and 3y you multiply by 3y inside of parentheses. 3 times x will give you 3x. Next we have plus. Positive 3 times positive 3 will give you 9y. Okay, next example. 5 times x minus 4z plus 2y. Let's practice. We take 5 and multiply by x. Put this inside of parentheses. 5 times x inside of parentheses. And always put plus. Then you will say 5 times negative 4z. Put 5 inside of parentheses times negative 4z. Again, put plus without any thinking. The last one, 5 times positive 2y. 5 positive 2y inside of parentheses. Nice handwriting, please. Positive 5 times positive x. There is nothing special here. It's 5x. Now we keep this positive sign. On my calculator, it's getting a little bit harder. I type 5 times negative 4. If you want to type them inside of parentheses, it's fine. 5 times negative 4. Just don't try to type z. Z calculator does not understand such a thing, z. It can calculate the numbers. See, with parentheses, without parentheses here, you get the same answer, and it's negative 20. Because it's negative, I will put inside of parentheses, and don't forget z. We have to keep our z here. Again, this plus will be here. 5 times 2, it will be 10, times y, it will be 10y. You see, I keep my positive numbers without parentheses. We don't need them. But negative, we have to keep inside of parentheses so to see it better. Now we have to decide. Plus, minus. Memorize the rule. When we have plus and minus, bad guys win, unfortunately. So it will be 5x minus 20z plus 10y. Yes, this example is a little bit hard, but we have to learn this. Next example, negative 2 times 4x minus 5y. I choose this example because now I have a negative number here. The idea is the same. I will multiply negative 2 by 4x. And I told you, put the numbers inside of parentheses. Then I told you, put big fat plus sign. And now we multiply negative 2 by negative 5y. So it will be negative 2 times negative 5y. Let's simplify. And it's a good idea to put this on a calculator, and whatever you want, you can do inside of parentheses. Just don't type x. And it will be negative 8. Because it's negative number, I will put inside of parentheses. Negative 8x. Keep your x here. Again, I will put big fat plus sign, and I will calculate next. Parentheses negative 2 times negative 5. And it will give you positive 10. I do not have to put positive 10 inside of parentheses, but I have to keep the variable here. I see there is nothing in front of this parenthesis, so I can drop the parenthesis, and it will be negative 8x plus 10y. And this will be my final answer here. Okay, I have a couple more examples. What if we have just negative sign and some parentheses, r minus 6 plus 8p? Okay, if you don't see any number, it means mathematicians do not want to write it. It's negative 1. So now actually you have negative 1 times this parenthesis. Okay, it's getting a little bit easier. Negative 1 times r. Okay, negative 1 times r plus, next is negative 1 times negative 6. Negative 1 times negative 6. See, I have negative sign in front of 6. I keep it here. Again, I will put big fat plus sign. And I have negative 1 times positive 8p. I put negative 1 inside of parentheses and positive 8p inside of parentheses. Let's simplify. Negative 1r. Okay. And I told you put it inside of parentheses. Now, we have plus negative and negative. It will give you positive 6. I don't put positive 6 inside of parentheses. negative 1 times 8, and remember we put positive plus, positive sign, and negative 1 times positive 8 will give you negative 8p. Simplify. We don't have anything in front of this parenthesis, so it will be negative 1r plus 6. There is nothing to simplify here. We have plus minus. Bad guys win. So it will be minus 8p. And the only thing we need to do, mathematicians do not write 1 here. So the pretty answer will be negative r plus 6 minus 8p. And this is the final answer. Okay, and the last and the hardest example. Negative 3 parentheses 8x plus 1. And this here plus 3. And I made it a little bit bigger so I can see it better. What are we going to do? We will use our distributive property. Negative 3 times 8x. Negative 3 times positive 8x. Nice handwriting. We'll put big fat plus sign. And we have negative 3 times positive 1. Okay. Negative 3. Let's check on a calculator. Some people don't want to put parentheses. It's fine. Negative 24. But you have to put negative 24 here. And don't lose your x here. Big fat up. Remember I told you I wrote this down kind of big so I will not lose it, and I lost it. I have to put plus 3 here. This part I have to keep it. Maybe it's a good idea for you too to write it bigger or in different color so you will not forget to keep it. Okay, keep going here. I have plus. I will put big fat plus here. I will type on my calculator negative 3 times 1, positive 1. It will give me negative 3. And I have to keep this 3 down. Okay, I don't have anything in front of this parenthesis, so I will drop the parenthesis. Plus minus, it means bad guys win, and we have minus here. And we again have to keep 3 here. And remember our rule additive identity, negative 3 plus 3 will give you 0. Let's check. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0. So if you combine these two things together, it will be 0. But again, mathematicians never write it down plus 0. The final answer will be negative 24x. If you understood all these examples, you will do a really good job on your homework. And if you have any questions, you can email your questions to me.